Today is November 22nd, 2023, and this afternoon we're going to talk to Anita Pristanski and Clara Dupuis. And Anita has lived here a long time and has a lot of history that she's going to share with us. And Clara's sort of her support, but Clara's got lots of information too. They both lived in Nipigon a long time. So, Anita, first of all, give us your name, your maiden name, and then some of the people that related to you here, like from the hotels for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, my name's Anita. John was John, Miss John, when I was teaching after I left school. And what else to say? I had one brother, Roger, Toto we called him, younger than me. And I lived in my grandparents' I grew up in my grandparents' hotel.
Which was?
The International Hotel. But that hotel was the third international, though. The first international hotel was owned, my grandparents and the Gentiles bought that hotel together. And it burnt down in 1924.
But where was it exactly?
Right where the old one was. It was on the main street, but the main street all burned down.
Oh, okay.
And then when it burned down, the Gentiles got the corner and down the street, and the DeFazios got all the middle part right down to the Newton Street.
Yeah.
And so my grandfather built a store on the main street, a store when we were really small, because we have pictures of us in that picture. Remember you, me, and McDougal?
I don't remember any store.
You don't remember the store? All right. We had the store there, and my grandfather built another international on the corner lot where that Department of something is there now.
Oh, Parks Canada.
Yeah, because we owned all that whole middle part.
Mm-hmm. That's where Preets lived at first.
Yeah, well, they that was after the burnt down. They had no place to live because my aunt said they were. Well, it was my mother who was in the big hotel because she said that night the moon was so orange. She said she couldn't believe it, and then she realized it was fire.
Oh.
And so she woke up everyone. They took out the as much furniture as they could.
Yeah.
My Aunt Louise told me that people were taking it away as fast as they could.
Really?
Freebies, eh?
In 1924, I guess.
Yeah.
I wasn't born, so.
No.
Well, no.
So
Not
Anita,
that old.
No.
So Anita, give us the names of your grandparents then.
Then Frank and Matilda DeFazio.
Fazio, okay.
And,
How do you think they came to Nipigon?
they were in Rossport first for a while.
Because everybody worked for the railway when they came here. That's why.
I don't know if he worked for the railway. I think he had a store there.
Oh, could be, yeah.
And because I think my mother was born in Rossport.
Really?
I'm not sure. And then they moved to Nipigon, and with the Gentiles, they bought the
All that property.
they bought that hotel. It was a 3-story.
Right.
Oh,
It was huge.
well, who owned it before then?
That was the original one.
Well, I mean, they built it, you're saying. But you said they
No.
bought it.
No,
Oh,
they
so
bought it from the CPR.
Oh.
Either the CPR or the CNR, one or the others. I wasn't born.
Well,
so
it would be the CPR, you'd think.
You'd think it would be the
Likely,
CPR,
you know, 'cause the
being
railway
across
was
the
right
street.
Wow.
Being across the street.
Yeah.
And then my grandfather built the other hotel down the street. Well, they had no place to live at first, and I think Nick Sallow
Yeah.
took them in for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
And he had a grocery store on the far end
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, so they stayed there for a while, and then when the hotel was built, they brought their family up in that old hotel,
Oh.
the one way
wow.
down there,
Yeah.
and then Well, I wasn't born. Was I born then either? Let me see.
That's interesting, though, Anita, because you're the first one to mention that several international.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was one, the original one,
Right.
and then two, and then my grandmother years later. She, when Louise got married, Louise had nowhere to live, so I guess she moved into the motel, the hotel.
Down in the corner.
Down in the corner, my grandmother moved up to the store. Up above the store, you could sleep upstairs, and at the back of the store there was a kitchen. So I remember sneaking downstairs from upstairs, coming down the stairs at night, opened up the window, the glass window, and taking out a couple of chocolate bars.
Oh,
I would have
the
only
store.
been four
Must have been pretty young.
or five stealing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
You started stealing early.
Well, good memories.
stealing early. Remember the sidewalks we had
Yeah.
that were boardwalks? They were boards.
No, I don't.
You don't remember? And we used to get sticks and pick out the nickels and the pennies between the sticks.
No.
You can't remember.
Of course, I didn't live on the main street.
I know you didn't, but
so-
you came up the main street.
Yeah, but how young would I be coming up the street?
Well, you were a
you
year and a
know?
half younger than me, but
Yeah.
Herman was up there
Yeah.
digging out with me. Me and Margaret
Yeah.
and
Margaret was Billy Millen's sister.
Oh, yeah.
They lived
Okay.
above the station.
and
Oh,
yeah,
right.
A
yeah.
beautiful place up above that
Well,
station. It was really
one
nice.
time between those slats, I found a $20 bill, and I must have only been 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
And I don't know who told. We only had a policeman in Nipigon. We only had a town policeman.
Yeah, town policeman.
Somebody told him that I had money, and I don't know who because I was too young to remember exactly. But I
guess so.
remember him coming up the street. The policeman.
Mr. Lullaby was a policeman.
I
when
don't
we were
know,
young.
but I can't remember who it was, Clara.
Yeah.
And he came up the street, and when I saw him coming, and Margaret saw him coming, because she knew I had the $20 bill in my hand, and she ran for home right across the street
Why?
to get away from the policeman, and I ran too behind her.
They thought you were going to that you stole it.
Yeah, and she got to the CPR station door, and she held it, and she wouldn't let me in. Because
Oh, my
the
God.
policeman was coming across the street.
But he had no idea what you were doing. He
Well,
wasn't coming after you.
Oh yes, I knew they were coming after me because
Well, why would he?
because I had that instinct that I've got all this money. This was a huge
Well, I
amount
know,
of
but
money.
still, how would he know that you had it?
Somebody must have said something. Maybe Margaret and I were playing on the street and we're wondering how to spend this money. Who knows?
Flashing a $20
I
bill
was
around.
I
Oh,
was
but-
too young.
Yeah.
Because I remember her holding that damn door, and I could not get in because she was bigger than me.
Yeah.
She held that door so tight, and I'm practically crying. I remember that. And the policeman coming up to me, and I remember handing him the money, and that's all I remember.
And he kept it?
I don't know, Clara.
Oh.
How does a 4-year-old know anything?
Well, you remembered that.
I do remember
But you don't
that.
remember being able to keep it.
No, I do not. Not at all.
She always used to cheat her brother all the time. She'd make him give her his dime, and she would give her nickel. Her nickel, because it was bigger.
Because it was bigger.
Oh.
That's horrible, isn't it? Terrible.
So, Anita, did you go to school here then?
Oh, of course.
At Georgia? Oh, no, Nipigon. No,
Nipigon
Consolidated.
Consolidated.
Nipigon Consolidated
Yeah,
School.
my mother went there too, I think, after.
So did my parents
yeah,
go there.
they went
Isn't
there
that funny,
after,
eh?
after the.
Buildings don't usually last that long in Canada.
I know, and if you realize, if you ever went in that school now, how many times it's been renovated
Yes.
and renovated, but the basic school
Has always been
is still
there,
there.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
still there.
remember
Yeah.
at the end, we used to have to go there to get strapped. You never got strapped?
Up in the office, yes, I did. Guess who? Lillian.
Oh my goodness.
Lillian was the one who gave the straps up in that.
Mostly. I don't remember Miss Fraser. She was
Margaret,
Alec Fraser's sister. She was our teacher in grade
Mrs.
one.
Swain.
Right.
You remember Mrs.
Yeah.
Swain?
Yeah, well, I think.
I never had her for teacher, but you might have.
Yes,
Herman
I-
did.
Yeah.
So I was in grade 1,
Yeah.
and you and Herman were in grade 2.
Well, I had her, and
Yeah.
I loved her.
I
because-
loved her too, but I never got her for a
Because
teacher.
she was Miss Fraser, and when she got married, I was so mad I refused to call her Mrs. Swain. I remember that.
Because you were mad she got married.
Yeah, because I was mad.
So, was the school like a lot of kids in the school at that time?
Yeah,
You
there
think?
were.
They-
The classes were big.
Yeah. Well, high school was in the basement.
Right.
Well, they
But
did.
still, grade 8 was down the basement too.
Oh,
Grade
yes.
7 and 8.
Remember downstairs, though, Clara? Do you remember downstairs they had a beautiful, beautiful auditorium and a stage? Because I remember going to a Christmas concert there, and I couldn't believe it how lovely that Christmas concert. I must have only been 4 or 5 at that time, not going
But
to.
where would that have been in
That
the
was
basement?
downstairs where
Must have been in those 2 rooms.
that was those 2 rooms that they put together, which was 7 in grade 8.
Oh, no,
and,
I don't.
And remember,
that.
they took it apart, and after they took it apart, the
Put a
7
wall
and
in it.
8, they put. Remember, because they had the stage, was grade.
Oh, well, where I had grade 12.
Yes, on the stage.
Up on the stage.
On
of
the
that old.
stage, on that old stage.
But I never remembered, like, any auditorium.
No,
I was
because
too young.
you were younger.
But no, we had we had one class right up on
On
that
the
stage.
stage.
That was
One class,
one
yeah.
room.
And another class, Clara, in the chemistry room across the street.
Yeah, that's true. The chemistry across the hallway.
Yeah, we were in
Chemistry
that room
lab,
too.
that was one
Because
of
that
our
was
rooms.
my grade 12 room.
Yeah.
And the chemistry lab. But do you remember that morning when they punished Harold Atwell and Waghorn and
Jerry White.
and they were forced into that room where you decorated, where you got ready for plays, because they had plays. It was an auditorium with a big stage. And at the side of the stage, right on the stage, that was the dressing room. And that's where they put those 2 guys that day. And we were in grade 9. So I remember the door coming towards us, and they had taken the hinges off.
Oh, I
You don't
believe it.
remember that?
Harold and Jerry.
Harold and Waghorn.
Waghorn, yeah.
Boy, that just threw. I was so impressed. I couldn't see straight. I said, "Why couldn't I think of that?" I remember that.
Oh,
Just to get into trouble.
right, right.
Well, they were terrible.
Yeah.
They were terrible. Remember how they used to take us on the lagoon and shake the damn old punt, and make us scared, and then lock us in their shed.
But I know Halloween, they knocked toilets down into the lagoon, from people's yards along
Yeah.
with it. Never had plumbing yet.
Oh my!
But they tortured us, Clara. 'cause they
But you
locked-
survived, both
yes,
of you.
we did.
You survived, both
I
of
don't
you.
remember being tortured.
They just locked us into that old shed behind the pool
Really?
room. Behind the pool room.
Maybe I wasn't there. Just you and Margaret and maybe someone else.
Who else? I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't remember. Too long ago.
Fun memories, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Anita, your families were always involved in the hotels in
Yes.
Nipigon, anyway.
Yeah.
And the Normandy people were related to you as well.
Well, then my aunt, when the war came, my uncle came back. He came back, and he was the only son. So naturally, he thought he'd better kick his sister out of there, and I'm pointing
Well,
down.
there was Charlie too.
I'm pointing. I should be pointing in that direction because that's where the hotel was,
Okay.
down at the end of that street, eh? And they had to get out. I know that much
Oh.
because Frankie wanted to turn it into
A restaurant.
A dine and
then
dance.
You dine and dance.
yes,
yeah.
because remember he had that surprise 16th birthday for me down there.
No, I don't remember.
Don't remember that one.
No.
Well, then do you remember Margaret Millen's 16th birthday at the Pio's old house?
Oh, I remember going to Pio's old house, but I didn't know it was Margaret's 16th birthday.
We had
It was
her
that Hydro family that
I
lived there,
know,
wasn't it?
but that's where we had her birthday.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I see. I didn't remember that it was her birthday.
Yeah, because
No.
we
You
got
just
a
knew it was
picture.
a
I
party.
remember going there. That was a nice big old. Well, you remember? Well, it's still there.
Yeah.
Still
yeah.
there.
But it was really grand in those days. I
Yeah.
tell you. Yeah.
And yeah, well, that was Margaret's birthday party, and she was
Oh.
old. She's a year older than me.
Yeah.
So I had my birthday the following year, and you can't remember that.
You wouldn't have thought I would have been invited because, like, Margaret would have
You're
been
in
two and
the
a half
picture.
years older. Oh. But I remember going there for a party, but I didn't remember that it was Margaret's birthday.
Okay, so
Yeah,
get
okay.
back to the Normandy for me.
Yeah.
Well, then they built the Normandy
Oh.
down the street then,
Yeah.
and then moved. When it was built, they moved.
Now that's pretty new. You know.
The Normandy. Yes, it is.
Yes,
because
that was a new hotel.
It would be in the 40s because that's when Frankie came home from the war.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
he was gone.
So Sonny and Rena were Sonny and Rena lived in that old
They
place.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have
They
pictures
were-
of them
they
down
were-
there.
Yeah.
And we have pictures of them in the Ovilio Hotel, all the parties. They always had a party for
So only
Aggie.
Patty and Peter were born in the Normandy. Rena and Sonny were already born. I mean, they were grown.
No.
Well, they weren't grown up,
no,
but they.
I have pictures of them, and they were maybe.
But I went to birthdays in the old place.
Yes.
For Sonny and Rena.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, that would be in the 40s, right? Yeah.
Well, I was born in 33.
Yeah.
so-
That was in the 40s. And we had during the war, we had Victory Gardens, remember?
Yes.
Because I had a Victory Garden right behind the hotel there, and I never grew a thing.
I was going to say I don't.
Not one thing came up, not one thing. That's when I knew I could never grow anything. Because we had a guy staying at the hotel forever, and he
Is that right?
had a garden back there, and we always had.
Who was that?
Joe Bianco. Joe
The
Bianco.
name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Well, because he lived with us for
Yeah.
years.
No relation to the Biancos. They're here now.
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
So really, when you think of it, the three hotels on the street were all family
Yes.
related at that time, which is an amazing thing in
Yeah.
a small town.
Because she says her aunt, that was Louise,
Louise.
and Pete Preet.
Right.
And Louise was her mother's sister.
Right.
One of
Okay.
them, yeah.
Okay. So that I just remember them being connected, but
Yeah.
I kind of forget
Yeah,
the line
yeah.
there. Right. Right. So now the Gentiles were related as well.
Well, my grandmother and Mrs. Gentile were sisters.
Okay.
And in
okay.
fact, when they owned the original hotel, they bought it together and they lived together.
Okay.
Yeah.
The two families
Yeah.
lived together for quite a while.
Isn't that something?
Until-
Hotels right next door to
Until-
each other.
I know.
And
That's
then-
really odd when you think
Yeah,
about
it
it.
is. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying.
then- but the fire, with the fire coming down the main street and burning everything.
So well, I just know when I came here, I always thought the Normandy was the newest of those hotels, right?
Right.
Because you said the rest burnt at one time.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ironic in the end, it did burn as well.
Yes, isn't
Right.
it?
Ironically, eh?
It really
when it
is.
Did burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
But
thought
I
of
I'd
that.
always assumed it was the newest one.
And it is the newest one.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah, for
'cause
sure.
It was built in the 40s.
And you know what? Their clientele was mostly Pine Portage and Cameron Falls.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's what
Local
built.
people didn't really go there all the time.
No.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
you know, Cameron Falls, they thought of that as their
Well-
own private bar.
Well, same with
That's the
my-
only place they went.
Yeah, same like my grandmother when she decided to build a hotel because she owned all that property because it was nothing but a big basement. Do you remember we had a basement under the
Huge
hotel, a
basement, yeah,
huge basement. In fact, it was all sand. Remember that? All sand. My grandmother had never put,
Put a floor.
She never had put a floor on that other half
Oh,
part for some
yeah.
reason. And there were old bottles in that sand, all old stuff from the hotel burning.
Yeah.
Oh.
And anyway, she built a hotel beside my grandfather's store, and she built to the side.
Mm.
When did she build that? She built that in the 30s though.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the 30s.
Wow. So you could tell Nipigon was a really busy place when
Yeah.
you had 4 hotels on the front street.
It
Right.
was.
Right.
Yeah, and our business was from Cameron Falls. I remember that
Right.
because I remember they used to bring their kids in, just go to the bar,
Yeah.
and I used to play with them in the
Oh.
While they were in
Lobby.
the bar, the
Well,
kids played in
Oh,
the
so
lobby.
then they went to the Normandy when it was built.
Yeah, the Cameron Falls people stayed. We had a lot of business from Cameron Falls people,
Yeah.
but they got all of Pine Portage.
So you also must have got a lot of bushworkers when they came into town too then, because the bush operations were big.
I think at our hotel, my grandmother got a lot of business people
Oh, okay.
because I remembered Mr. Judd.
Yeah, because we had a lot of travelers in those days.
And they came on the
salesmen.
train, of
Yeah.
course, some of them
Yes.
did.
Yes,
eh?
mostly.
So the hotel was handy
That's
there.
who
Yeah.
we had was mostly travelers.
Yeah.
We had a good business.
There's no
with-
such thing anymore.
No.
No.
You know, there's no salesman.
But by the time I came here, the Nash was the place where all the bowlers went after
Yes.
bowling, right?
Yeah.
That became the place to go
Yeah.
after bowling. So I mean, it evolved into local later, but because then they didn't come by to travel. We don't get any
No,
of those people
no.
anymore.
Well,
That's
I
interesting.
remember some of those traveling salesmen at our house late at night, banging away downstairs, playing the piano and drinking. My father would bring them home, probably. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do remember
Especially Jack.
Jack who?
Oh my goodness. Folds, Mrs. Folds' father,
Yeah.
Jack Cameron.
Cameron.
Yeah,
Jack Cameron.
this tall,
Yeah.
white-haired gentleman. He was a big salesman. He used to spend a lot of time with my dad. And,
that would be Mr. Foles. That would be
That would be-
Jim Foles' father.
no, her father.
Oh yes, her father.
'Cause it was
You're
Cameron,
right, Cameron.
yeah.
You're
Right,
right.
her
That was
father.
her
Oh.
father.
Mrs. Folds. You remember
Yeah,
her? She
yeah.
died a few years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Her dad, Jack Cameron.
And do you remember every New Year's Eve, the whole street would get together and go to each house for a drink?
No, but people visited in those
Right.
days. Yeah.
Right.
But they did, because I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember when I was about 10 and 11, 12, the front door would open up and all the neighbors just showed up. The Rings,
Yeah. Oh, right.
your parents, the Zeckners were here by then, and the Hudson Bay people came. Then they would go to Millen's across the street, and they would.
No, we'd go to Millen's across the street.
We went there
Christmas Day, because we knew she'd give us a little drink of sherry.
too. Sharing. And that's,
She'd bring us right to the dining room table, put out her cookies, give us all a little, because she knew that's why we came, eh? She didn't even really sit and stay and visit with us. Just
No.
like Mrs. Gentile, we'd go there next. She'd bring us a little glass of sherry and some cookies and just leave us at the table.
well, we got the idea from our parents going from house to
Probably,
house
yeah.
on New Year's
Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
They came to the Rings.
Yeah.
Who else? I'm just trying to think of the old families that were there.
Yeah.
The Breons were in
Yeah.
the gang.
Yeah.
All the people who lived down that. Where am
Yeah.
I here? Down that street.
And mostly people, like my mom always made a huge Christmas cake. Sometimes she had to make two because we'd eat it all before Christmas got here. But people didn't do a lot of other, like she'd make her fruit cake.
Right.
And I guess visitors would get, the men probably, I always remember them just drinking whiskey, like a shot of whiskey.
right.
That's
or
all that
something.
they had on New Year's.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
would come in and have a shot of something.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
So in those days, didn't Nipigon have a hall anywhere where you could go to a dance?
Yeah.
or
There was.
a
There was the
social?
Finn Hall, wasn't
Yeah.
there?
A Finn
Okay,
Hall.
what about the very oldest one where Clark Motors is, or where the subway is now?
Yeah,
That was the first one. And then there was a Finn Hall
yeah.
on 4th Street across from the Home
Right.
Hardware.
And
There was a big
Anita
one.
Lang always used to tell us that there was a lot of animosity between the two people because something to do with the Finlanders and the wartime or something. I remember her
Oh.
talking about the two different halls. Anita
Yeah,
did.
There was two different
So they
halls.
are both in operation then at that
yeah,
time, eh?
that's what she said.
But I
Yeah.
remember this old little lady, Mrs. Couture,
Yeah.
in the one where Clark's, Motors
Right.
was, where Subway is. she would run, and you sat on chairs, individual chairs at the movies, eh?
Oh, okay.
And she'd come along. I always remember doing it.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Because that's where
Mrs.
we
Couture.
that's where we saw movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where
right.
the
Yeah, just in
that's
upper-
where
So
we
that
did.
basic building, I wonder if there is a part of it that is still original in that building. You'd wonder how much of it.
No,
might
there's
still
no
be-
original.
It's gone. It's all gone
Oh,
and
yeah.
rebuilt.
Yeah,
Right.
That,
And
Okay.
the old Finn Hall too used to have cement steps going up to it.
which
So it
the
was
one,
built up.
The one across from
Home hardware.
Home
Yeah,
hardware?
remember that?
I
You
don't
went up
remember
steps?
the
Yeah, it was
steps.
up higher, yeah.
'Cause
So
I
the
remem-
basement must have been fairly high
I
underneath.
remember looking through the window when Anya Corpy's married Rojo and
Ayla and Arvo?
Ayla and Arvo. I remember their wedding
Yeah.
because looking through the window, I thought I never saw such a beautiful couple in
Yeah.
my life.
Well, there
I
could have
thought,
been a window at the top of those steps, but I always
Yeah.
remember there were cement steps
yeah,
there. Yeah.
So then that hall must have, did it burn or did it be taken
It burnt
down?
down, and that was
It
quite
burnt
a
down, and
thing.
then-
Remember Hakey Nelson got blamed for that? And he
Yeah.
went to prison.
Did he?
Yeah,
I don't
and
remember that.
you know, and they remember Harvey too. Harvey Ruth was involved.
Was he?
But you know, whether it was true, or whether it was a fact or
Right,
not,
right.
everybody often.
And then the Elks was built on that property
Yes,
later.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you think of it when you're talking, though, how much fires played a part in developing a town, right?
Yes.
Things burned and then
Yeah.
things were rebuilt and
Well,
improved.
And
Yeah.
because they improved.
Improved.
Because
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't the street where we're here now? Wasn't this all basements? Remember, we used to play in the
Yes, right,
basements
Yeah.
because they were
Empty
all open
basements.
basements.
Yeah.
All open
Oh.
basements.
That would be from the corner up.
yeah, all the way
I'd
from
say
the
maybe 2 blocks, not 2 blocks, 2 lots or something, 3 lots at the most from the corner.
From
to here,
And-
the-
from
but
the
up
fire.
here too.
Yeah, and old guys, that weren't working or would
in
sit
the
along there.
30s. That was in the 30s, Clara,
Yeah,
because there were bumps
Yeah.
and there was no work.
no, so they'd be sitting there. Yeah, and
Well,
there was
Everett-
just empty basements down behind them.
I've seen pictures from Everett of just the men all lined
I'm
up
sure,
because
yes.
there's no work.
Yeah,
And they would just be in town type
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
thing.
and they would stayed underneath the railway tracks down by the marina, because we would go down there, and that's where they were
Sit.
cooking under that bridge, and they would come up into town though and knock at your door for food.
yeah.
Because
Did
they
they
were
offer to do a
always-
job in return for the food?
Yes, they
Yeah.
offered to cut wood or do something.
I remembered hobos too from the train.
Right.
Yeah.
They get off the train here, the freight trains,
Right.
and they come and knock on the door. Could I do some work for you for a sandwich or something? I was
Wow.
thinking,
Yeah.
would you think of
Right.
how hard
So
that
look
must
at
have been?
it's evolved now because we're back to the same thing. People staying in tents, people under bridges.
Oh, I know.
The same thing now. I mean,
Yeah.
I am shocked when I go to Thunder Bay and I see that tent city
I know.
just down there, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But
it really
you're
makes
right.
you.
In those days, it was the same thing. Only it
Yeah.
was mostly just men, not
Yeah,
families.
you know,
Mostly
we're-
men.
Right.
Yeah,
It
it
was
just
mostly
seems like
men.
we're evolving and gonna
Yep.
go
Around
around
again.
start all over again. Because when I was talking to Richard Harvey, well, we're getting off track, but his daughter Mariah, they moved out of a big home. They just have 4 little boys. I imagine she's going to even have more. But they just bought a little place out of town. And a lot of people are starting to do that.
Yep.
Start to have a farm and bring up animals, thinking of what it's going to be like.
Right.
You never know. You might have to start all over in the
Yeah.
world, I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
of starting from
Yeah.
scratch.
Horrible, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you just don't know.
So Anita, after you went through high school,
Yeah, we went
and
to
then
high
I
school
know you
here
went teaching. So where did you go to?
to teach.
No, where did you go to school to be a teacher? Where did you go to?
I went to
College.
North Bay,
Oh, I was
To
just
scholars,
expecting you to
teachers.
say
but
that.
that was only a short course.
That was just 1 year.
Yeah, it was
That's
just
all you had to have then. Well, you're probably the same.
Yeah, and you didn't, and then, well, I can't. Then I got a job at Ellis or Kaministaqua.
Oh, okay.
Ellis, just a small school in the bush in the middle of nowhere.
But you taught at McDermott before that. Or was
No,
that after
oh,
that?
way
Oh, right,
after.
because you had your kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, first kids.
had
Yeah.
kids there.
And my sister Lois and Nunu taught with her at McDermott.
Oh,
They had 2 schools there.
Yeah, they
did
had.
they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 little schools.
Yeah, they did. They had
So
to-
you were, I didn't
was at-
realize you taught out in a small place then.
Yes, Indian Day School in McDermott, and then they had a public school.
Oh,
So
okay.
they had the two schools.
I knew you taught up there, but I didn't know that there was two schools.
Yeah, but I taught different places, even in Nakina and Jellicoe, and
See, I don't.
Kirkuk.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but not long time.
No, eh?
Just
Filling in or
just
short period.
filling in short
Oh,
periods.
yeah.
Wow.
The only one I had permanent was Jellicoe. That would be the Geraldton board.
For a whole year, like at a
Well,
time.
no, I was there for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I traveled. They had a teacherage right inside the school.
Oh, yes, yes.
So
Now that's a word that people wouldn't know today is teacherage.
Yes.
teacherage.
Yeah, people wouldn't know that,
Yeah.
that word today.
Except if you saw the old movies.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
You-
But yeah, but that's interesting that they did provide it where
Yeah. They
Yeah,
had a
they-
place for them
yeah,
to
well,
live.
that was part
yeah.
of the
Oh, absolutely.
the enticement to come there is
Right.
that we would provide you with.
And that-
Did you have to pay to stay there, or that was part of the contract?
No, you didn't have to pay.
You didn't.
Part of the job.
That was
Yeah,
part
it's
of the
part of the
contract.
job.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's where me and Stan lived when I got married. Then, because when I went there, I wasn't married,
Okay.
and we lived in the teacherage.
Oh, so that's where we stayed with you when we got married. Well, then we got married, what, a month after you?
Yeah.
So we went to visit them for our honeymoon.
Oh.
Cabinistical.
in the bush, in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
So where did you meet Stan? Anita?
His father had a farm down the road, and there was nothing in the school. There was only a blackboard and a big stove in the middle, and the seats, and hardly any books. So I went down just to complain about no pencils, no chalk, no paper, no books, and couldn't we have at least some chalk for the blackboard?
Well, gee, it seems to me teachers complain about that now.
and
Having to buy stuff.
because I didn't have anything. And so he ordered it for me, and Stan was in the yard and coming out of the barn, and I thought, oh, what a farmer. I never gave him any thought.
So when did you give them thought?
When I was stuck in the bush in the middle of nowhere, and he had a car.
Oh, yeah.
So,
How did you end up back in Nipigon then?
well, I was there for 3 years, and then Kim was born, and then I had a child every year.
You should just tell us all your kids' names because I just know they all start with K and I only know half of them. So tell me who they are.
Kim, the first one, was born a girl, and then 3 boys: Kevin, Kurt, and Cal,
Right.
and then two
Kelly.
girls, Kelly and Katha, and then Colin.
Colin.
There
right,
you go.
Right.
So then we moved to Nipigon because I didn't like being in the bush and being there. So I quit the school, and we came here and lived at the hotel for a while until we found a house on Newton Street.
I remember you living. I remember you were going down the street with all your kids, and they all carried the grocery bags.
Oh,
And I just remember that you lived somewhere down
Down there.
I lived in that part of town, but I remember
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
then Vera moved in beside me. She lived in the house beside me. Mary
just up
Rose
the street.
Mary Rose lived close by. All
Yeah.
our friends that we grew up with,
Right.
I wanted to be back here with my friends.
So your husband didn't mind,
Didn't mind at all. No, I said, you can go to Red Rock and get a job.
and he did.
And he did. My father had been married before my mother, and he was quite a bit older than her, and he had 7 children. And the Foles family in Thunder Bay grew up with all my father's first children.
Okay.
oh, Ellen Foles. Like
Yeah.
we were just saying, her father was Jack Cameron.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but she married a Foles, and so I knew Mr. Foles at at Red Rock.
Yeah.
So he knew the Johns real good.
Well, your oldest half sister lived in. What was their names again?
Grace. Grace, yeah.
Yeah, but what was her last name?
Her last name was John before she married.
Oh, right. That would have been her maiden
Right.
name. Yeah,
Yeah.
but she was married there, though. What was her married name?
Uh,
Yeah, like her. She had an older sister living in Red Rock,
Right.
half sister.
So Stan and was able to get a job there.
Yeah, he was able knowing someone.
Yeah.
was
And if
able-
I'm not correct, that Stan was later known for his driving ability over there.
Yes, because he got, his job was that thing that you had to put the rolls on and put them on the ships.
Right.
Oh.
And
I remember he was in competitions a couple of times
yes,
really?
for
he
his
was.
driving.
Yes,
Oh.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
For
I used to make fun of him being the best. Oh.
So
That-
once you had your children, you were still teaching?
No, I
Oh.
was only a supply teacher.
Okay. Okay.
It-
That was
it-
enough.
when we were in Red Rock, anyways.
Right. Right.
Well, because we moved to Red Rock when I realized that we didn't have a school here. So, and I thought, this is crazy. I know very well those kids will never get on no bus, and I was right. They all did go to grade 13, but I had those two younger ones still who were not finished high school. And
Oh, you knew they wouldn't want to be bused to Red Rock. You're
no,
saying
I
for
knew
high
that,
school.
and I was right, because Kathy came home one day in grade 10 and said, I'm not going no damn bus to school. She said, she quit. God. Oh, 2 minutes left. Well, that's it.
Okay. We'll start again. But that's interesting because I didn't realize you had lived in Red Rock, Anita. I didn't realize that. Yeah. So Catherine went back to school then? Start up again there.
1, 2, 3, go.
So Catherine
No,
quit.
She quit, and what happened? I said, you're not sitting at home all day doing nothing, smoking and going around with all your friends. She had friends that were drinking pals, and I don't know what all
Yeah.
there with and even one of them. She moved one of them at home even, and I remember, God, I can't take these kids that are leaving school. I said, you're going to go into nursing. And I got the application for her and the friend that she had booked in our house, and to go to nursing, because you could go to nursing in those
Oh, yeah.
days. Not an RN, but you
Right.
could go RNA.
Right.
And so, and she bitched that whole damn year, because it
Yeah.
was only a year. And so she had to go to Thunder Bay.
Oh, it was only 1 year, right?
That's all. I think it was only one. I don't remember, but
Well,
was it?
Vianna and Sibby and them, they all went into nurses.
Yeah,
Sibby and Vianna. But
they-
I mean, that was an RN.
yes, they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you went to St. Joe's and they you lived there in the
In the residence.
yeah, in the
Yeah,
residence.
because
You got $9 a month to buy your Codex, your whatever you needed,
Right.
toothpaste, and I mean it was free education. So
Oh,
that's why
yes,
a lot
it
of
was
people
always-
became nurses.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure it was free, because
Yeah.
Kim, my oldest daughter. She went to nursing, full nursing though.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
ended up as Catherine's career kind of thing, wasn't it?
Well, it did.
Not
It's
long, though.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
For a
She had
while.
to go. She had to take courses to get the rest of high school.
Oh,
and
yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But she never nursed.
she,
She
did.
changed the union almost pretty well. You
Yeah.
joined the
Yeah,
union
Yeah,
there.
she did.
Yeah,
She
she
Worked for it. Yeah.
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 For sure.
So yeah, she did. So, anyways,
So what did Colin? He's the youngest. What happened there? I had lost track of him.
well, he was the youngest. He was a different kid than the rest too. So he did take the bus.
Oh, he did, eh?
But well, he when we moved here
Why do you have to take the bus?
to high school,
They moved back.
Oh, that's before the high school was in Red Rock.
No.
Well, so then why did you have to take the bus?
Well, because there was no high school in Nipigon.
Yeah, but he didn't live in Nipigon.
Oh, no, just a minute.
Yeah.
Because this is years later.
Uh-huh.
Because the 5 kids ahead of him all finished school.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still the youngest. When we moved here, I think he was in grade 8. In fact, I think he had failed, and Lillian was the principal, and she found out from the principal in Red Rock, because he was in Red Rock 1st,
Mhm.
and he was in the wrong grade. He should have been in grade 6 or 7, I can't remember.
What do you mean, one above or one below?
Below.
Below.
And he had found a lot of friends in Nipigon by then, moving
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to be moved below. And I went to Lillian, because she was my teacher.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her and I said, he's different than the other kids. He's more studious and he'll get up to par to where he should be. You watch and see. Leave him where he is. And Lillian agreed. She left him where he was.
Oh, wow.
Because I lied when we came here and said he was in grade 7 when he wasn't.
Oh, how times have changed in education, right? How times have changed,
I
that's for sure.
know how
Yeah.
times have changed is right.
So tell us a little bit about how you ended up with a nice camp at Locust Lake, Anita.
Well, when by that time I had an aunt living in the International for 6 years after my grandmother died. So finally it got sold, and and I think my mother they didn't get any money. Let me tell you, my mother got about $1,600 from the sale,
Sale of the hotel.
from the sale, and with that money, there were lots at Locust Lake. And I remember going there when we were small, every
We went
day.
there, walked or whatever, begged a
Yeah,
ride.
begged a ride. We were there, and I remember when I grow up, I said, I want to live right here where we are every day.
Oh.
That was that marshy land with where we used to go and pick frogs and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It was nothing but marsh.
Just right next to the beach.
Right next to the beach. And so when the Lofquists were selling, I used that $1,000 to buy a lot.
Okay, wow.
And that was
Wow.
probably 1959 or 60, something like that.
So you got one of the oldest camps out there.
No, there was
Oh,
Was there a camp there?
Mukulas were there.
Well, who built your camp?
Stan.
That's what I say. You built the camp. There was no camp.
yeah.
No, but
Oh,
next
but Mukulas were there. Wow.
Mukulas were there, and another family was there. Another Finn.
Well, was there
Finnish
any
family.
Locquists?
Locquists were there.
were the original, you know.
The original
name of the
people.
lake.
They're still there. They still have.
Yes,
They still have
there's
the
still
lots
some
there.
family there
Because
sometimes.
the farm, the barn that Mrs. Lockwist had, it was still there too.
Really?
And who bought that prop? I mean, that was owned by somebody ahead of time, and so was another Finnish family beside Lockwist's.
Not alls?
No,
Pinks.
no,
Pinks had a camp out there
Yeah,
too.
but that would be a lot later.
that was later
Yeah.
because they sold 4 lots. I think
Oh.
they sold one to us.
So at that time, you mean Locust owned all of that property?
Yeah.
We owned all that property because they had a farm there.
Oh, I see.
And we, in fact, on the days when we were stuck as little kids, I remember going over there, and Mrs. Lockwist made us tea and
Really?
something to eat.
Wow.
When we were too
Yeah,
small.
that
We
wasn't
were,
me.
No, it wasn't you, but me and Margaret. I remember. Do you know Mrs. Benson? What
Yes,
was her?
Helena.
What was her maiden
Oh,
name? Because I think she
yeah.
looked after us. She was a teenager.
Yeah.
But when we were, I remember
What was
with
her last name? Her single name?
was it
Helena.
Merritt?
Yes. Whoa.
There was I don't married.
That's interesting though, because I'd
Yeah.
never ever heard that was farmland that he owned. I just always knew his name was connected to Lockless Lake. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Well, they had a farm there. That's where they came to school in Nipigon, in some kind of a makeshift through the bush
Oh.
behind our house where we are
Yeah,
on the main.
coming along all there, yeah.
Because I don't think there may not have been a Cameron Falls. I don't know if there was a
Yeah.
Cameron Falls Road there or not.
But there are pictures of Everett's showing 100 people in that lake at one time.
You're kidding.
Yeah, he's had a couple of pictures of
Wow.
just full of people on the beach and in the water. I just
Yeah.
saw one recently in Jim Rojo's picture album, and it was a busy place at one
I used
time.
to take my kids
Really?
there every day.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that was the only place to go for a swim. They didn't swim in the river, right?
No,
Well, we went.
dangerous
we
down
went-
there.
But
we went
we
there the
did
odd
go.
time.
We went down. Remember, there was a park at the end of the lagoon there, and people had punts there. Because I remember Margaret and I stealing a punt one day and going out on the lagoon, and
Yeah, that's the lagoon, and we usually go down there through.
yeah, but that was when we were teenagers. This is
Yeah.
years ago. Even before I was born, I have a picture of my grandmother and Mrs. Gentile with Charlie and Joby and Frankie. That's all three small kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because there was a gazebo down there,
Oh.
and it was a park. It was owned by Nipigon. It was
okay,
a park.
okay.
It was
So-
nice.
I just
I never went swimming down there ever.
Me and Margaret went down
Yeah.
there.
I know. There's the odd person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went down
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, because we used to go on the lagoon because of
Right.
those.
And then the Dampiers were further down. They
Right.
lived, along there.
Right. I just remember when I came here, Mr. Grazan had that little shack on the edge of the lagoon with his boat in it.
Oh.
It was right over down below the pump house.
Oh
He had
yeah.
a little building there, and he had his
Oh,
boat in there.
Really?
Yeah, I remember him fishing in the lagoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Grazon's.
Now, in my memory, is Eva Swanson was related to you as well?
She's one of my grandmother's younger sisters.
Oh,
No, not my.
Not your
grandmother,
grandmother,
my
your mother.
My mother.
your mother's younger sister. Oh,
Yeah. Okay. How many girls? Name them. Your mother was the oldest, right?
No, Rosie was the oldest.
Oh, Rosie is older than your mom. See, I didn't realize that.
Rosie,
Probably never
and
thought
she
about
married a Vavone.
Yeah.
Remember, so that Rosie was the oldest. Then my mother. Then Louise Preet.
Yeah.
And then Frankie.
Oh,
up
then.
there,
Oh,
and then
where'd Lily come in?
Lily was one of the younger ones. Then Jessie, Lily, and then Charlie.
Then Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember Eva out
Yes.
at Lockless Lake
Yes.
selling food or
You
something.
probably remember her from her corner store too,
Yes,
eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I just remember her being at Lockless Lake.
Yes,
Always
she would
had
sell
them-
some stuff there.
Yeah, she
sometimes.
used to sell
She
stuff.
did.
Yeah, it was
up
kind
there.
of sad, and she didn't do it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we
yeah,
never had
for
anybody
sure.
to buy anything.
So your family's had lots of enjoyment out of Lockless Lake.
Really,
For
for
sure.
sure, we
Yeah.
really did, because we had a lovely, lovely place to swim off of. We had steps going up time to the diving board, because remember, I dived off of that diving board,
Yeah.
and somebody dived on top of me, and I
Oh.
lost my two front teeth
Oh.
that day. I remember that. I was 14.
Never mind, we'd step on the railings and dive. Too.
Yeah. And that was up high. We thought we were really something.
Yeah, well, it was.
Well, as teenagers, the town sent us to
Yeah.
Thunder Bay
Yeah, they sent Nita,
Me
myself, and,
and
Vera,
Vera to be
and a sent
lifeguards.
chaperone with us, and we stayed in little cabins along
Lake
Cumberland,
Boulevard,
I think.
Boulevard.
Then we'd get driven to Boulevard Lake for our Red Cross swimming lessons. Was that 1 week or 2 weeks?
Oh God, I hope
Because
it-
we got
I
a
hope it
crest
was-
after we were
yeah,
finished,
I know.
and that was for us to go and.
And teach
At
swimming
Longwood.
for free.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I can remember when we were at Boulevard. Oh, it was such a cold weather when we were there,
Oh,
getting
I
up early in the
know,
morning.
I
Just
hated
be
it.
there at the cold lake taking swimming
So at
lessons.
that time there was Red Cross lessons, swimming
Yes,
lessons
it was
at
called
Lockless
Red
Lake.
Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were free, did you say?
Well, there were-
maybe the town paid
Oh,
for
paid
us.
Well, they paid for us to go
Oh,
because
yeah,
they
but
wanted
I
us
meant
to
for people
lifeguard.
to
Yeah.
take lessons. but-
Yes, and they
Interesting.
paid for our room, our board anyway.
But then we were expected to teach at Lockless, which we did.
Yeah.
How did
Diana and Sippy, they learned to swim from us. Diana,
How did you
Sippy.
get out there, Clara?
I
You
don't-
know what?
Well, I don't
I
remember.
don't remember that part either. How we went every day.
I have no idea.
My mind goes blank.
I know you didn't walk.
Do you think they would have sent us in a town truck? I don't know.
I don't remember either.
Because I mean, the kids had to get there for the
Yeah, the
lessons.
kids too.
Yeah.
Because I can remember Diana and Sippy. We taught them.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't remember
I just
either,
don't
Clara.
That's interesting. Anyway, that
Yeah.
with Red Cross, you could
Yeah.
just teach the kids.
And
to
I think
swim.
we got our intermediate. That's what our little crest was that we got from them.
Can't remember. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
How old would you have been? Teens, obviously.
Teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very early teens. Yeah.
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 Wow.
Oh,
Remember,
wow.
you had you. Just gonna say you had a crush on somebody.
Little Lockwoods Lake, we're fortunate that we still have it available
Yes.
to the people from town to
For
go
sure.
to. I mean, we got a
Yeah.
pool, but there's something about swimming in the lake
Right.
that
At a
people
beach.
enjoy. And my kids went there. We took truckloads out there
Yeah.
on hot days.
I'm
and,
sure.
And so
We used to go in the back of Zechner's truck, and it was a flatbed. Can you imagine all of us piled on there,
No.
no railings or anything?
I
When I
just
think about it.
I just think when we had 10 in our half-ton
Yeah,
truck and went out
yeah.
there and thought nothing of it.
No.
You know, so we're very fortunate.
Yes,
that's
for sure
we
that there
still
were
have
no
that.
accidents too, eh?
No,
No.
nice,
Yeah.
a nice lake, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, your camp is one of those that people, I guess, because it's next to the public
Yeah.
beach.
Yeah. Right.
That
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Well,
So I've seen a picture of you with a bunch of children in front of the theater. So the theater was built in your time, so you
Yeah.
must have
Yes.
gone to the theater a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was built when I was around 15.
yeah.
So that's the interesting age to go to the
Yeah,
movies.
you're
right?
right.
Is
Other than that, we sat in that hall like with chairs. Remember?
right.
Yeah.
That's the other one, right?
Yeah. No, it was really nice when they built that
Oh, yeah.
theater there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who were the first people to run the theater? How good's your memory,
I
Anita?
think those were Urchucks.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah.
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 Bickrock? No, that was
Air-
later.
Urchucks.
Urchucks.
I think it's E-R-E Chucks.
I've seen that
Urchuck,
name. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yes, I have seen that name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if, I know some of the workers came from Beardmore that were building that theater. Do you think, Urchucks, yeah, were from Beardmore. Weren't they a family from Beardmore?
Claire, I can hardly remember that.
And
Yeah.
so he had the theater built.
Yeah, they built
Oh,
that theater, yeah. And I
wow.
can remember that, the young people working there, and you walk by there when it's being built.
Wow. And it's a shame it's sitting there doing nothing.
I
now.
know.
Doing
And
nothing
it's just going to get worse and
I
worse,
know.
right?
Isn't it a
a
shame that we
shame.
can't find something to go in there?
Yeah.
For sure.
It does.
So you also will remember then, both of you, the times that all of a sudden a lot of people had a lot of cars. Because when you were younger, there would only been a few cars, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
When my
Well, yeah, because during I remember the 40s being, the streets of Nipigon were just loaded with people. Do you remember the night? I remember the night so well when the war was over and people were out selling, just crazy on the
that
streets.
was the 40s, yeah.
Yeah,
Late 40s.
yeah, and tons of people, lots of people on the streets.
Right. But I know that good old Everett has lots of pictures of old cars that would be coming
Yes.
through Nipigon. as
I
they
can remember the
traveled.
first car in Nipigon was old John Sallows. Was the only one.
Was it?
I don't know when you could first drive to Thunder Bay.
I don't know either.
And it would just be sort of like a bush road,
So in those days, did you travel to Thunder Bay or
Yes.
Port Arthur much by train?
Yeah.
We
no,
did, no.
well,
Or
no,
bus?
I did go by train once or twice, but that I wasn't much on the train.
No.
But no, yeah, you could drive to Thunder Bay.
We went to Thunder Bay a lot because my
Your father lived there for one
no,
thing.
my grandfather had not my grandfather, my grandmother, when he came When he came home from the war, he just spent my grandmother's money just like crazy.
Who, your grandfather?
No, when Frankie came home from
Oh,
the war,
Frankie.
he just spent.
That's Frankie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she showed us that
So
picture then.
he just spent money left and right, and he bought that big Chrysler. Nobody had a Chrysler like that.
Oh.
Remember that Chrysler?
Well, that's how we got a ride to the circus. That's when we went to spend a night uptown when we were kids. Begging your grandmother said, yes, we'll go if your mother comes to look after you. So we had to go beg her mother she'd come with us, or her Roger. So you know where we stayed up there? At a hotel where Lily and Bill Calababa were working.
Well, that was the
And we all slept on the floor in a great big room in the hotel.
that was the Prince Arthur.
Was it?
Yeah, because I remember.
Is that where they worked?
Now I remember.
See, I don't remember the hotel.
I remember you and me spitting out the window on the people going by.
What?
That's what
I wouldn't do that.
That's all I remember about going to town, because I remember.
Oh, I can
going up
remember
there.
us sleeping on the floor, all of us in that hotel. Lily and Bill both worked there.
Okay, there's another 20 minutes.
Oh,
See, I told you, Clara. You said you were
well, I
there.
know you're a good questioner, so
See, you're not there just for support. You got lots of information.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when we interview two people.
yeah.
They remember things.
I was so glad that day with Roy. Yeah, he remembered things that I never knew at all.
And that's the one that Amy has said she was shocked to find out they had been interviewed because she didn't remember.
Yeah.
Know that.
No.
Well, that's good. We're done. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, unless you got more you want to talk about.
no.
Geez, now you go home and have some lunch because I haven't been home to eat.
Anyway,
Well,
excellent,
anyway.
both of you, because those are lots of things that I have not heard, and I interviewed all those people, and lots of those things. That,
Yeah.
And we've interviewed some people who started at one end and tried to go down the street remembering all the stores.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
the next person we did, theirs is different.
Oh,
Their
yeah.
memories are different.
I'm sure. Sometimes,
Because everybody
different
has
people.
different
and
memories.
not all of them
people.
were right.
Yeah, you're right.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get mixed up about who was beside who, and then
Oh,
they try and go back,
yes.
and then they go around the corner. And
You know, there's
So
been a
it's
few
interesting.
times in the Gazette I was going to call you and say, no, that isn't so and so, it's someone else, but I never did.
But you should.
I know I should. I'm
You should,
terrible.
because I like to correct some of those. And
Yeah.
and I put pictures on Facebook, and John Zechner,
I remember not
John
too long
Zechner's
ago.
terrible. Always corrects me all the
Oh,
time.
does he?
Yeah.
Not too long ago, there was a picture of all the people who worked at the Bay.
Yes. And I got told
And
about
one was Elsie Baxter's mother, and you called her who? You know, Ines?
that
She worked
because
there.
the names
But that
were,
wasn't her.
the names were already on that photo.
Oh, were
Whoever
they?
provided that photo
Yeah.
provided
But
the
who
names.
did they call? Who did they say she was? Oh, I can't remember. But anyways, that was Elsie's mom.
Well, I can't remember Elsie's maiden name. What was it? Elsie what?
Rojo.
Rojo. That's right.